Hi, welcome to the Living in Savannah channel. I'm James Headley. While there are a lot of negatives to Zillow, including but not limited to the wild inaccuracies in their estimates of home values in a lot of cases, the site slash service does offer some benefits for prospective home buyers and sellers at the macro level now and then. As one example, I recently read an article based on a Zillow survey of home buyers that raised some interesting points. In today's video and my next one, I'm going to look at 8 psychological traps that buyers are susceptible to and provide some context related to the Skidaway Island real estate market as it stands today. Before tackling the first 4 of these today, let me thank you for subscribing, sharing, and liking, and encourage you to continue to do so. So, what were those first 4 psychological traps for buyers that were outlined by Zillow? The first was overconfidence. While this was a term that Zillow used, I would actually reframe it as loving before you look. The idea is that you see a home online and or via a listing sent by your realtor, and you talk yourself into it being the right home for you before going to see it in person. And then when you do see it, you've already talked yourself into it to such an extent that you overlook or minimize real issues apparent in the home. If you find yourself at a showing saying things like, that's an easy fix, or that's really a minor issue over and over and over again, you may have fallen into this overconfidence trap. So what advice would I give to help you avoid this trap as a buyer? In a nutshell, I would say work with an agent who provides you with a balanced perspective on homes of interest to you. In general, just about every home has some share of minuses to go with its pluses. And if your agent is only talking about those pluses to put their finger on a scale to help to get you to buy no matter what, you may wish to test the waters with a more balanced agent. Beyond that, rely on experts such as inspectors and commit to seeing multiple homes before you find yourself committing emotionally to any single one. Brings us to number 2, which was neglecting the future you. Now this one's pretty straightforward. Don't be a buyer who spends hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars on a home that works perfectly for you in the here and now, but that won't fit your lifestyle in a few years. A couple of obvious scenarios here are couples who buy a home before having kids and then quickly outgrow it as their family expands, or at a later stage of life, perhaps buying a 2-story home when mobility issues are on the near horizon that make stairs a major obstacle. Beyond the obvious step of trying to envision your life in 5 to 7 years before buying a home as best you can, I would expand this farther to think not just about the home, but also the neighborhood that you're buying into. For example, maybe you aren't a boater now, but you think you might want to take advantage of that aspect of island living in the foreseeable future. In that case, perhaps that Deer Creek home looks a little less attractive when faced with commuting to Delagal Marina or to a lesser extent Landings Harbor Marina on a regular basis to set out to sea. That brings us to number 3, and that's failing to negotiate. Again, pretty straightforward, right? So all I'm going to say here is that you might want to check out some other videos here on the channel related to pricing and data, such as my recent one talking about the easily avoided $30,000 mistake. And also consider the background of the agent that you're working with, since their perspective can mean tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to you at the closing table. And finally, number 4, and that's acting impulsively. Again, I didn't say these were going to be earth-shattering revelations, right? Seriously, though, it is good to say these things out loud and together, even if they seem commonsensical. I would pair this with the first trap, particularly in situations where there is competition for a property. While we have recently seen home inventories here rise into the 30s, we are still far from a balanced market, so multiple offers are going to be common. In those, and frankly in all situations, you want to avoid an impulsive offer by doing all of the homework that you can in advance. Know your budget, including getting pre-approved for a mortgage if that's part of your plan. have a good sense of the market comps and trends, and develop a comfort level with the agent or agents you're going to work with. So let's stop there for this episode. I'm going to pick up with the final 4 traps in my next episode and hope you'll tune in then. And of course, I'd love to hear from you in the interim so I can help you avoid these and other negatives in the home buying process and generally make your experience a much more positive one. Until then, thanks again for liking, subscribing, and sharing, and I will see you soon.